Hey parents, as most of you know, it is Black History Month. And just like Pride Month and the various religious holidays and cultural celebrations that pop up throughout the year, I always think about how we can use these annual reminders as a springboard to start having these really important conversations with kids on a more consistent basis. So this week's Tuesday tip is my 2 cents on having conversations about race with young children. Black history and conversations about race are really important to have all year long, not just in February, and especially for white families. Because families of color are put in the situation where they have to have really important and difficult conversations with their children about race often and from a very, very young age. But for white families, we have traditionally been able to, if we choose, more or less ignore the topic of race until something is forced upon us. We're in the grocery store and the toddler that we're with innocently makes a remark about the black man in the checkout line in front of us, and we're so mortified we wish the ground would just open up and swallow us whole. And that raises the question of why we are so embarrassed to talk about race and why it's so difficult to have those conversations. I know for me, it's because I was raised in a nice white family. My loving and well-intentioned parents and the loving and well-intentioned parents of most of my friends, and in fact, most of my generation, they raised us by the golden rule. They taught us to be kind and respectful to everyone, no matter what they looked like or where they came from. But with that came an I don't see color kind of approach, and it is no longer adequate for the world that we live in. Because the world is finally, slowly starting to change. And the children who we are collectively raising have the incredible opportunity to jump on board and become part of the processes that make the world a kinder, fairer, safer, more equitable place where differences are seen and celebrated rather than shushed in the name of politeness. But how do we help guide those kids when no one really taught us how to do it ourselves? I am not a race educator. For my information and my learning, I turn to experts who are researching it, who are living it, who are steeped in it, and who can express themselves far more eloquently than I can. However, my specialty is helping parents raise the next generation of aware, compassionate, responsible young adults who are prepared to make those changes in the world and to embrace the challenges and opportunities of an unknown future. So, when it comes to any kind of conversation about race, about gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, any of the differences that our generation was encouraged to ignore in the name of just being nice, what I invite parents to do, and in fact anyone who has children in their lives, teachers, caregivers, grandparents, aunties, uncles, neighbors, friends, what I invite you to do as a starting point is to get comfortable with the topic yourself. Look to experts who can help you frame what you learned as a child and a teenager and a young adult and help you unlearn it and relearn it, so that when your children make innocent observations, you can respond with honesty, with information, and with compassion, rather than the need to shush them or a feeling of embarrassment. And when we proactively have these conversations with kids, when we're reading bedtime stories, when we're sitting at the dinner table, when we're watching movies or TV shows, by making it part of the everyday conversation, we can avoid some of those grocery store situations where we're caught off guard and we may not necessarily know how to respond because we're still growing our comfort level. Rosetta Lee is a diversity educator who I respect, and she says that she treats every conversation about race with young children like it's an adorable little deposition. She answers only the question that is being asked, no more and no less. And I think that's a great piece of advice for any adult who is learning to have these kinds of conversations with kids. And it gives you time to educate yourself and grow more confident and more comfortable. I'm going to put some resources, some links to resources with this video post. These are authors and educators and professors and parents who I trust and respect and who are going to provide honest information and perspectives. It is by no means an exhaustive list, but it is a great place to start for getting comfortable and starting to have these conversations with our kids that are going to benefit everyone's kids as they move forward into the future.